All right, man. So think of it this way. So like I said, this is a military slash security forces analogy, and I'm sure it'll be effective. So if you were to clear a building, right? Let's say it was like a 5-story building, and you sent in a team into the first floor, and you had no idea where the perpetrator was that you were looking for. So say someone armed, maybe active shooter scenario, hostage scenario, whatever. But you have a building to clear, you have a single individual that you're looking for, and they're armed, right? And so you send a team in. Now, whether that's a 4-person team, 6-person team, 10-person team, doesn't matter. You guys are all going to be looking for the same thing, different sectors and whatnot. But if you go into that door, unless you have a really, really, really solid idea of where that individual is already, you're going to have to engage in some form of systematic clearing. So if you're going into a first floor, you have 5 floors. Like I said, unless you knew exactly where the perpetrator was already, you'd have to systematically clear out each floor before moving on to the next, because the last thing that you would want is for that individual to be somewhere that you fail to look at or fail to clear, and then they come up behind you, and then your whole team and your whole mission is compromised, right? So as it pertains to weights, we're going to equate the individual floors as weight progressions, right? And we're gonna use the rooms on each floor, each individual floor, to represent all the possible progressions that you can make before you skip to the next floor, i.e., you add more weight. Now, the reason that's important for weightlifting and for fitness in general is the same reason it's important for that room clearing, threatening individual scenario as well. Because basically you don't want to get caught short, you don't want to get caught from behind, you don't want to get tripped up on something that you thought you had mastered, it's something you thought you had cleared, and moved past already. And so say, for example, somebody starts off on that first floor, that first weight that they're using, and say it's a bench press, and say they're doing 135, so they got a plate on each side, and that's not too bad. And then they get so excited because they did 3 sets of 10 that they move up to 155, 185, and they do 3 sets of 10 there, 3 sets of 8 maybe, whatever the call of the day is. And then they move up to that 3rd floor, and now they're doing 205, 225, and then they move up to the 4th floor. Well, eventually, depending on how big that building is, you're either going to run out of weight progressions that you can make in that gym, or more than likely your body is going to run into a sticking point where you just physically cannot add any more resistance to your frame for a given exercise. Whether that's because your nervous system isn't up to par, your muscles and connective tissue and bones aren't up to par. Whatever the case is, you're just going to hit a limitation. Whether you're natural, enhanced, doesn't matter. Everybody hits a limitation. And usually when we hit those limitations, specifically with weight progressions, that's where you see a higher likelihood of injury. People dropping something on themselves, people tearing something, people straining something, excessive inflammation in the connective tissues, stress fractures, high blood pressure. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can result from maxing out your weight progressions too soon. All the while, let's say, you take it back to the first floor. Maybe that person, before they jump from 135 to 185, they should have cleared out more rooms. So they should have tried 135, still on that first floor. They should have tried 135 at a slower tempo, 135 with more reps, 135 with more sets, you know what I mean? 135 with a different tempo in general, not necessarily keeping up the same tempo, maybe switching tempos. Just trying different things, 135 with dumbbells, 135 equivalent with dumbbells instead of with the barbell. Maybe 135 equivalent, but on a machine chest press instead of a regular bench press. All of these things are going to produce different types of what's called mechanical overload, right? Now, everybody's heard of the progressive overload, where like you want to add progressions. That's how you grow the muscles. That's all great, but if COVID lockdowns and limited access to resources taught anybody that was paying attention to anything a couple years ago, It should have been that we should have learned to do more with less. And what I'm saying is, I had to, as a coach, I had to explain to people, sometimes they were very strong and very capable, but I had to explain to them how they could still get an effective workout regardless of their current skill level with 15, 20 pound, 25 pound dumbbells and kettlebells when they're used to having up to 100 pounds, maybe in a commercial gym. And it's possible. And I always use a dog food analogy for that. I tell somebody, if you take a 20-pound bag of dog food and somebody asks you to hold it for as long as you can, you're going to clutch it to your chest. And for the average person, it's probably not going to be too heavy to hold a 20-pound bag of dog food here for too long. But take that same 20-pound bag of dog food and give it to somebody even freakishly large, a pro athlete or a pro strongman or something, and you ask them to hold it out away from their body at length, you got maybe a couple seconds because it's going to be heavy really quick because of the principle of leverage. So again, it's all about how we attack the exercises. It's all about how we attack our progressions. But I always encourage everybody to clear all the rooms on a given floor, all the progressions for a given weight before moving up to the next weight, because you're going to run out of weight progressions way sooner than you run out of every other sort of progression that you can do. Again, tempo, angle, variations, modalities, all that stuff. You have way more rooms to clear before jumping up to the next weight. I learned this the hard way. Many other people that I know, coaches and clients in general, have learned this the hard way. I hope that you and other people do not have to learn it the hard way. Because like I said, natural, enhanced, newbie gains, intermediate gains, whatever the case is, it does not matter. Eventually, whether you're natural or enhanced, you will run out of ways to progress with weight only. You just will. And your body will be all the worse for it. And so in the meantime, enjoy your strength, enjoy your flexibility, or your range of motion, but make sure to always be working on your flexibility. Make sure to always be working on your nervous system being able to conduct those movements. Your central nervous system headed by your brain is controlling all of those mechanical movements. And then, like I said too, you gotta stay cognizant of the bigger picture of the whole process, right? You do that, your body's going to be better taken care of. You're going to be less overworked. You're going to have years worth of progressions to work through, including your weight progressions, and it's just going to be a much more enjoyable experience. At the end of the day, mechanical overload is what it's about. Progressive overload is important, but again, progressive overload doesn't necessarily mean weight overload every single time. So try other things. Your body will be all the better for it and fully capable. And then once you start to tie these things in together, recognizing the importance of endurance is huge as well, because none of the strength or range of motion means anything if you can't conduct those movements in that variation for a given amount of time. So hopefully that helps. Sorry, I got a little bit long-winded. You know how the answers to questions are for me. But hopefully that helps, man. Like I said, this is coming from a place of experience, and this is coming from a position of wanting to see you and other people that are getting after it every day be really successful, not get any injuries, and continue to enjoy the experience. So hopefully that helps. If you got any questions, let me know. Other than that, take it easy. Keep it up.